Okay, so this is going to be part 3 of this documentary, and I just thought I'd just go on my own homepage so you can see how you can find me. So anyway, I want to continue. You know, I was sort of an innocent kid, having deaf parents, having a huge deaf family, not really understanding the hearing world or how things worked, or not really hearing a lot of different things. I think it was sort of sheltered in a way too, but we learned a lot at that park, and so did my brothers and the rest of the neighborhood kids. It was not all goody-goody. Life happened there at that park, and quite a number of things too. So anyway, I didn't know any better. I didn't know anybody who was gay. I didn't even know what the term meant. And it was Sunday afternoon at choir. I'm in high school, and I revealed myself to one of the choir members that I think I'm gay. And well, she was just horrified, and she's like, "Well, you're going to hell." And and she left. She didn't stick around. And I'm like, can't be. God made me this way. I can't change who I am. There's just no way. I mean, I look at my family members. I know some of them are, and I'm like, what's the deal? And I mean, it just images of hell seared my mind at that moment. Am I gonna, go to hell? And I questioned, and my mind was playing tricks, but I knew in my heart and my soul that I was saved. I knew that God loved me, but I couldn't express it. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't even know any really gay people at that time, to be honest with you. A few girls on my teams, different sports I played on, were gay, but we didn't even have a term for it. We didn't, I infatuated with PE teachers and that kind of thing. And I decided not to tell anybody for the longest time because of the horror that happened in that choir room. I'm going to hell, but I just knew it had to be wrong. And even ministers said, "Well, you'll have to be celibate." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's not, even at the time they told me, I didn't know what it meant entirely. And they knew better. They knew that it was a gift. It's a gift of the Holy Spirit." So a lot of ministers just, said the wrong thing, and, just didn't care enough to do and study and do what I'm doing here on this channel for their community, unfortunately. And so, I eventually did tell my loved ones. I told my brother, and he told me, and as I got mature, I found out one of my brothers was gay, an uncle was gay, a cousin was gay, somebody else was bisexual in my family. And, there's just, in the DNA, it was hereditary. There was no other word for it. I couldn't prove it. I wasn't a scientist or a doctor, and I still don't think that they can entirely prove it. But they also don't know a lot of things. They don't even know how to cure the common cold. So, they don't care enough because there's not enough money in it. And it always comes down to that, doesn't it? So, I don't even recall ministers talking about being homosexual or gay. They'd use the word fornication in the wrong way. And I've already talked about that on some of my other videos. They would quote Leviticus and Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's not really what it was all about. It had nothing to do with being gay, to do with, being inhospitable and inhospitable rules and just doing horrible things and murdering and raping. And we're talking about straight people here. We're not talking about gay people. We're talking about these men and women who wanted to know these angels. And it goes back to fallen angels, and it goes all the way back to that time period. There's so many things have occurred in this world because of Satan's counterfeit and his, angels that he beguiled, and then that he caused them to doubt, and caused them to fall and to follow him. A third of them, that he is responsible for corrupting, okay? And then they are responsible for corrupting the rest of the world with all kinds of things that they taught us. And people having seance. You look at God Rules, and he's talking about Danbury, who invented Star Trek, that they went to a seance, came up with the idea of Star Trek. And who were they worshiping? One of the fallen angels in that seance. It's just amazing if you track this stuff back historically. No wonder, secret societies, they don't want you to know what's going on, and, one world order doesn't want you to know anything. And it's because if you did, then you'd realize what a bunch of malarkey it is. So, to me, the ministers, the more I heard ministers condemning homosexuals in my community in such a vicious and cruel and condemning manner, were very judgmental. All black and white, it was very actually Catholic, not even Protestant, And in my teenage years, I left the church because they didn't want me. I'm homosexual and I'm not wanted. So, but I didn't leave God, and I knew God didn't leave me, didn't leave my heart, and so he didn't, abandon me in any way. I always prayed and always kept him in my heart, and whenever it was the Lord's Day, I would always, pray and be with him, and I'd be out in nature and be thinking about him and praying to him and talking to him and that sort of thing. And I just had always kept him in my heart. But I had kind of strayed because I didn't have any brothers or sisters in Christ who were the friends that I grew up with who were children of deaf adults. They all, went their way while we went our way. It wasn't a planned thing. It just happened. Life just happened. And, I moved around a lot. And about 20 plus some years later, God called me back. Margie, I love you. And, it wasn't until, I thought, wow, it wasn't an audible voice either. It was just I love you, I died for you, you are redeemed. These are words that were going in my head. They were not my own words, And I was like, where's that coming from? And I had started to go back to church, and I started to interpret in church, and always hard for me to interpret in church later on because I'd always cry because I didn't feel wanted, And I would hear, the minister condemn homosexuals in a church sermon. It would be soul crushing to me. It was like murder to my soul. The words that I heard in my head afterwards led me to, think, well, and question, and does he love me? And then the words would come to my head. I made you that way. I made you in your mother's womb. I made you before you were even born. I knew you before you were born. You're up here in heaven with me serving now, because there's no time and space in heaven. Even though it's hard for me to wrap my head around that one. It's, these are things that would come in my head repeatedly. You are my beloved. You are mine. My sheep know my voice. They come when I call. These are not my words. Okay? And so he put it back in my heart to fight back and do something about it, and he called me back to him. Psalms 120, I called out and did so throughout my journey, with something just happened here. I don't know what it was, but meaning many, but both male and female for 1,500 years were known as eunuchs, okay? And so in Matthew 19:11-12, Jesus further expands the definition of eunuch to include not only castrated males, but also celibate, which is a gift, and those who choose to be eunuchs are born eunuchs. And Jesus later excludes all three types of eunuchs in Matthew from heterosexual marriage. The LGBT community does not have to marry, but if they want to, they can choose to do so, and in those such as in Timothy 4:1-3, forbidding people to marry and listening to doctrines from demons. That's where they get that thought from. And like I said before, there is a lot of money in hatred, okay? And that you can go back to slavery, and you can go back to the whole white and black issue, and it's still going on today. They're still perpetuating it, still. But Jesus is going to shake a lot of things up in these end times, and I believe that this is one of the things that he's doing to make Christians see and understand that they are not holier than thou. They are not above other people, okay? Are they saved? Yes. But they are not to condemn their Christian brothers and sisters for their homosexuality. In Luke 24:44, Jesus said, "Everything that is written of him in the law of Moses and prophets and Psalms must be fulfilled." Isaiah, therefore, is a prophet, and what Jesus said must be fulfilled regardless of whom anyone believes eunuchs are. For in Matthew 19:12, Jesus said in verse 12 that there are some born naturally, born eunuchs from the mother's womb, meaning that, at least 1% are born without testicles. Some are deformed and are celibate and opposed to sex, unable to be aroused by the opposite sex, male and female. And there are some who are made eunuchs by men. That means their testicles were pounded or crushed or castrated. And eunuchs by choice, meaning that they are choosing to be celibate. But again, it is a gift. It is not for everyone. And if you think about the priest and the ministers, the nuns, if you don't think that they are, look at the pedophiles. It is not an easy route to take. Let me just put it that way. It is a gift, and not everyone can receive that gift. Now, from the paper, The Roman Talmudic Definition of the Natural Eunuch, presented at the conference on Eunuch in Antiquity and Beyond, held at the Cardiff University on July 27, 1999. Okay, so there have been some good people trying to talk about this, but it's just not getting out there enough. Okay, so we're strong enough to help our community. It states here in the paper that the natural eunuch in the Roman law was not diseased or defective. And the Romans, like the Germans, kept really accurate records back then. Okay, and the Roman jurist Ulpian states in Lex Julia, El Papia, Book 1, Digest 50, 16, and 128, the eunuch is a general designation. The term includes those who are eunuchs, moreover, had crushed and pounded testicles, as well as any other kind of eunuch. So it's a whole umbrella. Eunuch meant it covered all the different categories under that umbrella. And he places the natural eunuch first, okay, in this law. Mutilated eunuchs were placed into a secondary rank, and after the extenuating Latin conjunction, okay, which is in this particular paper, is explained in detail, and again, you can look at the thesis paper for yourself. It goes on to explain that the eunuch